The supply of weapons from NATO to Ukraine is causing serious panic in Russia, which sees it not only as a threat to its military operations, but also as a potential failure of its strategic goals. This panic is expressed on several levels: military, political, and even among ordinary citizens. At this point, Russia has proved to the world that it is an absolutely dangerous and uncontrollable nuclear power, and its president, Putin, wants to reassemble the Soviet Union in his hands and possibly continue to conquer new territories, such as the countries of the European Union. But as more and more new weapons are supplied to Ukraine, the Russian military command is increasingly feeling the pressure from the West. The Russian command realizes that the latest weapon systems from NATO significantly increase the combat effectiveness of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. This reduces Russia's chances of success on the battlefield, especially as the Ukrainian army receives advanced technologies such as modern F-16 aircraft, tanks, artillery systems, and drones. Russia is losing the technological advantage that used to help it achieve its goals. Since the seizure of Kursk and the Kursk region, Russia's top leadership has been under considerable stress, caused by both military setbacks and growing domestic pressure. Kursk and its region are of strategic importance to Russia, and their capture was a serious blow to the morale of the Russian leadership and the entire society. The capture of Kursk became a symbol of a significant military defeat for Russia. This city and its region are important strategic points located close to the Ukrainian border. The loss of control over them means not only lost territory, but also a serious blow to Russia's military capabilities. It could also signal that other key territories are under threat, further increasing stress in military circles. For Russia's political leadership, the capture of Kursk has serious consequences. It undermines their domestic propaganda, which is based on the belief that Russia is capable of defending its borders and controlling the situation in eastern Ukraine. Instead, the events in Kursk demonstrate an inability to defend even territories within the country, which could lead to growing discontent among the population and elites. It also increases international pressure on Russia, as its opponents can use this case as evidence of the country's weakness. In addition, the seizure of Kursk has economic consequences that affect the country's overall well-being. The loss of strategic industrial facilities, important transportation hubs, and other resources could lead to a deterioration in the economic situation in the region, which in turn would increase social tensions. The population, already affected by the hostilities and economic sanctions, is facing new challenges, which only increases stress and discontent in the country. At the same time as significant military developments are taking place in the Kursk sector, the Ukrainian military is heroically holding back the Russian offensive in the Kharkiv region. This region has become one of the key fronts where Ukrainian forces are demonstrating high resilience and professionalism, resisting numerous and technically equipped enemy units. Kharkiv region is a strategically important region located close to the Russian border. For the Russian military, control of Kharkiv and its surroundings is critical to ensure logistics and further advancement deeper into Ukrainian territory. However, Ukrainian troops are putting up fierce resistance, using both defensive and counteroffensive tactics. Despite numerous attempts by Russian troops to break through the defense, they have not been able to make significant progress in the Kharkiv sector. The Ukrainian military is using a well-organized defense system, including extensive fortifications, mobile units, and effective use of artillery. Reconnaissance drones and anti-tank weapons are also being actively used, allowing Ukrainian defenders to strike enemy convoys before they even approach the front line. In contrast to the stable situation in the Kharkiv sector, the situation on the Kupiansk front remains much more complicated and less stable. Kupiansk is an important strategic point located in the east of Kharkiv region and has long been the target of intense fighting. The situation on the Kupiansk direction is complicated by the constant attempts of Russian troops to capture or at least surround the city and its surroundings. Russian forces are actively trying to break through the Ukrainian defense using numerical superiority, artillery, tanks, and aircraft. Enemy troops carry out regular attacks, causing significant destruction and casualties on both sides. Ukrainian forces in the Kupiansk sector face several challenges. First, the intensity of enemy attacks is much higher than in other parts of the front. Secondly, the local terrain and landscape make it difficult to defend effectively, as the enemy uses natural obstacles for covert maneuvers. Finally, the constant pressure from the enemy forces Ukrainian troops to conduct frequent rotations and deploy reinforcements, which requires significant resources and effort. On Saturday, August 31st, Russian forces attacked Kupiansk in Kharkiv region, according to the regional military administration. The Russian military regularly attacks Ukrainian regions with various types of weapons, strike UAVs, missiles, CABs, and MLRS. Russia's leadership denies that the Russian army is conducting targeted attacks on the civilian infrastructure of Ukrainian cities and villages during a full-scale war, killing civilians and destroying hospitals, schools, kindergartens, energy and water supply facilities. The Ukrainian government and international organizations qualify these strikes as war crimes by the Russian Federation and emphasize that they are targeted. Currently, Ukraine is in a critical phase of defense, where the need for additional supplies of weapons from NATO is becoming extremely important. In the face of constant attacks by Russia and escalating hostilities on several fronts, Ukrainian forces need modern weapons to not only effectively deter the offensive, but also to carry out counteroffensive actions to move the front line into Russian territory. The Ukrainian military has already demonstrated effectiveness in the use of Western weapons, such as Javelin anti-tank systems, Patriot air defense systems, M777 howitzers, HIMARS, Leopard 2 tanks, and other modern weapons. However, due to the intensification of hostilities, there is an urgent need to increase the supply of these and other types of weapons. This is especially true for air defense systems, long-range artillery, armored vehicles, and attack drones. Russian troops continue to attempt to break through Ukrainian defenses in several areas, particularly in the east and south of the country. In order to effectively deter these attacks, Ukrainian troops need to constantly replenish their arsenals, as intense fighting leads to significant consumption of ammunition and equipment. In addition, given that Russia has large resources at its disposal, Ukraine needs to maintain an advantage in the quality of its weapons, which is possible through NATO supplies. Ukraine is not only defending itself, but is also conducting active counteroffensive operations aimed at liberating the temporarily occupied territories and moving the front line into Russian territory. This will require more equipment, including armored personnel carriers, tanks, artillery systems, and engineering reconnaissance. Western allies can provide Ukraine with these resources, which will allow for larger and more effective operations. Western support is essential for Ukraine. In addition, Ukraine's sovereignty is a guarantee of security for the European Union. While Ukraine is reclaiming its territory and repelling Russian attacks, the European Union can go about its life in peace. And that's all for today. Subscribe to the channel for more information. We will keep you updated. This was Hustler. See you later.